Hi, I'm Matt Palelli. I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications from Untitled Seminary. And on this edition of Meet the Deacons, we're here with Deacon Kyle Tietz of the Archdiocese of Dubuque. Deacon, how's it going?
Going great. Thanks for having me on, Matt. Glad to talk to everybody here.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. You're how many days out from ordination are you now?
Oh, I think it's under 50 now, so I don't have the exact countdown. Some people have the phone app going, but I just rely on hearsay from the other guys. So.
Okay, just living in the moment.
Right.
All right, well, now I want to take you through the lightning round. So I have a series of questions just to kind of get some of your favorite things. So I'm just going to ask them really quickly, and you just answer whatever comes into your head. All right?
Okay.
All right. Favorite movie?
Man for All Seasons.
I haven't seen that one, but it's a classic.
St. Thomas More, yeah.
Favorite TV show?
Hogan's Heroes. It's another old one.
You're an old soul, Deacon.
Yeah.
Favorite musical artist?
Probably got to go with the Eagles. So I don't listen to too much music, but you can always listen to the Eagles. So
can't go wrong with them. Favorite book?
I like Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky.
How many years did it take you to read that?
just a week or so over break one time. So that's a real good one.
Favorite saint?
St. Francis de Sales. So,
cool. Is there a particular reason for that?
Yeah, he's the parish my grandma, and family went was St. Francis de Sales up in Austin, Iowa, a small town up there. Just got to learn a little bit more about him. He's like the gentleman saint, just very well learned, and just very well respected. Spent a lot of time in spiritual direction with people. Beautiful writings. He's always got these great analogies based off nature that like don't have any basis in science, but he just goes from them. Like he's talking about these bees, and it's like just like how these bees do this, that's how God works in us. And it's like it's not really how bees work, but this is all some analogies. So just a very delightful scene.
Never let facts get in the way of a good analogy. So
that's right.
Favorite prayer?
The Memorare. So it was a favorite prayer of St. Francis de Sales as well.
Favorite class in seminary?
Right now we're taking 20th century theology with Dr. Levering, and it's a reading class. We're just reading all the theologians of the past 100 years. So it's really incredible.
Cool. Favorite Bible passage?
The Gospel of John. He loved his own in the world, and he loved them to the end.
Favorite food?
Probably schnitzel or any sort of German food. So.
Okay. Favorite place on campus?
I love the relief of St. George as you're kind of walking around the lake by the Cardinal's Villa. It's a real cool statue.
Yeah. Awesome. And then lastly, tell me a word you didn't know before you entered seminary.
Perichoresis. That's a good Greek word describing the interrelationship of the persons in the Trinity. So we're in Latin, circumcessio.
Definitely a good seminary word.
Oh, yeah.
Great. So maybe just to get started, can you talk a little about how you wound up at Mundelein? When did you first feel the call to priesthood?
Sure. So I grew up in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, born and raised in Iowa, grew up Catholic family. And maybe in high school, I was invited to think about seminary. I remember one time at a retreat, a priest asked me, hey, Kyle, have you ever thought about being a priest? And I remember the whole time I'm just kind of nodding, but in my head, I'm just like, no, I don't know anything about that. Or how do priests even come to be? Like, what does school look like for them? But it was in college that I started getting more into my Catholic faith, and there were just a lot of Catholic role models at the Catholic Student Center at Iowa State, and just really inspired by their example of joy and commitment to the gospel. And from there, I was invited by the priest who was the campus minister, Father John Shedda, who's now our vocation director, to join a discernment group. And it was in the discernment group that really cultivated the call to priesthood. Some people have more of a moment of calling, but for me, I think God has worked on me over the course, especially of my junior year. Spent a lot of time in prayer and Eucharistic adoration, just asking the Lord, what do you want from me, Lord? So very open to it. And there were moments of grace in there as well, but ultimately just a sense of peace around that decision, so that I could apply for seminary my senior year and then start immediately after graduating college. So we did 2 years in minor seminary in Dubuque. We have a minor seminary program. So I did 2 years of pre-theology there. And then all of the seminarians for Dubuque currently go to Mundelein Seminary for major seminary. So I went here, and this is my 4th year here, and we're in the last 3 weeks. So it's been a great journey so far.
Yeah, well, the Dubuque guys are great, and we're happy to have them here at Mundelein. As you've gone through your Mundelein journey, have there been any moments of kind of confirmation of that call for you?
Sure. Yeah, I think immediately just going into seminary, just having that space and that time to really dive into prayer and really discern like what's going on in my heart. Where is God calling me? Who am I as a beloved son of God? I'm being called to priesthood. And I think that just that theme of peace and confirmation has been a repeated grace and theme over my time, especially at Mundelein Seminary. So just having moments of peace and prayer, feeling the call and commitment there. Great retreat experiences, especially last year. I had a great retreat preparing for diaconate. Just a lot of self revelation for that retreat, and just a lot of grace poured out by God, affirming the vocation. And I think the seminary formation is just structured very well in a way that if you hand yourself over to it and you're honest with it, give yourself to your spiritual director, formator, they're going to help you. And it's kind of the phrase that has really helped me is the idea of growing into it. It seems so far away of like, oh, I'm going to be a priest. It's like, what does that even mean? I'm just trying to figure out in my own life right now. But just steps by steps, little by little, just reflecting back every year, God helps you grow, and the seminary really helps with that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. What have been some of the sort of touchstone moments or highlights for you as you look back on your time at Mundelein?
I think some of the moments have been, there's kind of these kind of stages and steps I've talked about, and they're kind of marked off by special liturgies and ministries. So first off, in the first year, we had declared our candidacy. So we're committing ourselves to seminary and for priesthood. And then followed up by the ministry, installed as minister of lector and acolyte, under special liturgies and kind of touchstones as in our formation. And then last year with deacon ordination, and now being a deacon in the community has been kind of a highlight as well. So we're ordained, we're somewhat leaders here in the community. And, we're still taking our classes and preparing for priesthood, but we're kind of in that transition point right now. We've got our eyes focused on getting out there, getting with God's people. But it's a privileged time to be here in the community and to serve the men here as well. I think times of retreat have been particularly good as well. Last year, we were in the Holy Land. Well, we managed to be in the Holy Land and just before coronavirus started, so we were able to escape out of there safely. But we were able to have our canonical retreat at the Sea of Galilee. And that was just a real beautiful time to be with my brother seminarians at the Sea of Galilee, where Jesus called the disciples, and just to be able to pray there, and really felt a lot of consolation and just the grace of Christ present in his humanity with us there. I think those are some of the beautiful moments of seminary.
Yeah, that's awesome. What have been some of the challenges you faced during your time in seminary?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think one of the challenges is just sometimes you get kind of focused too much on the here and now. I got classes to do. Sometimes I have a hard time. We have these classes, we've got responsibilities, kind of the daily schedule here too. Sometimes we just even tend to forget that it's like, I'm studying to be a priest. It's like I really should be focused. Sometimes forget to really put that emphasis on prayer, and even just kind of intentional prayer about being formed into a priest. It's easy to kind of get caught up in the day-to-day. And that's probably a temptation for pretty much everybody in any walk of life, and probably even in priesthood, where we get kind of caught up in the minutia and kind of forget how God's working in us and where he's taking us. So that's kind of a challenge too, and just try to avoid, falling into cynicism or criticism. It's like, we got a great thing going on here. Even if we are busy, it's great to be busy, preparing ourselves to be priests. Sometimes I just kind of forget that. But overall, it's been really good. And just certain days, sometimes you have kind of questions and wonderings too, but God's always faithful in prayer, and talking to spiritual director has been really helpful. Clearing up those things that might be holding us back in our discernment and commitment to the priesthood. But overall, God has been very grateful and generous, and working with especially spiritual direction and formation here has been really good, in working through just some of the baggage and obstacles that come in my own personal life, and how I can clear those out of the way and kind of commit myself more fully over for the Lord.
Yeah, absolutely. So you talked about kind of enjoying the moment and not just getting totally caught up in the minutia. I worked with you on The Bridge, the seminarian published magazine. How's that experience been for you, or what else have you been involved in on campus, kind of extracurricularly?
Sure. Yeah, that's been a fun opportunity just to write some articles, and I like to have a little fun with some of them too, which is good. But just to reflect on our experiences and kind of share that with the wider community that might not know kind of the day-to-day of our lives here. Some other things, one of the things I've been particularly involved in is sports here with the other men. That's been a real blessing. It's like we've got, a great group of guys here. It's really easy to get outside and play some soccer or ultimate frisbee. Tried basketball the other day. That wasn't great, but everyone's a good sport about it. But just a real blessed time to share some fraternity with the other men here. Otherwise, I'm just usually a pretty regular participant in the seminary events that we have here. Different things going on throughout the year. And most Fridays, if there's not something else going on, we have what we call Versati Friday, just an opportunity to socialize with the other guys here, play some games, hang out, play some cards, do a little pool or something. So that's a real blessed time. So it's just I really appreciate some of the fraternity opportunities here. And then there's the opportunities we have for prayer and every once in a while especially now as deacon, to lead adoration and just have chances to pray. Like we had a Divine Mercy Holy Hour on Sunday for Divine Mercy Sunday.
Cool.
That was a real blessing.
Awesome. What do you think, as you kind of wrap up your time here, clean out your room, all that stuff, what do you think you're going to miss most about Mundelein?
Man, I think it's just a real privileged time to be here. Just the other men, just wonderful guys, committed themselves to the Lord and preparing themselves for the priesthood. And just a real blessing to have guys here so free and available just to grow with and pray with and spend time with. A beautiful campus. It's really been wonderful. It's really struck, especially now, springtime here. Everything's in full bloom. That means allergies too, so it's a bittersweet time. That's a wonderful thing. And just the commitment, just the priestly witness of a lot of the priests that serve here, and the commitment of a lot of the lay faculty as well. Just really dedicated themselves to our formation and our success, and helping us just grow closer to God and hand ourselves over to Him as we prepare to be priests. So I think the whole thing just kind of comes together very well. Just been very grateful, kind of reflecting back in these last few weeks here.
Yeah. So now, as you're looking forward, heading back to Dubuque, can you talk a little bit about your diocese? What or any maybe differences you've seen between being in Chicago and obviously getting in some parishes here compared to what you're looking forward to getting back home?
Sure. Yeah. So the Archdiocese of Dubuque is the northeast quadrant of Iowa. So we have, I think, about like 70 sort of clusterings or parishes or groupings. We got all sorts of different names too, but we've got a few big population centers. Cedar Rapids is my hometown, Dubuque, Waterloo, Cedar Falls, Ames, Marshalltown. Just a couple bigger cities, bigger in relative terms. And Chicago is like a big city, and it's like, Cedar Rapids 100 something thousand, and a couple of these cities are like 30,000. So that's like the big cities of Iowa. But then a lot of rural parishes as well. A lot of those are kind of clustered together out there. So we're kind of joking that Chicago Diocese, Archdiocese is 2 counties, and one of our parish clusters is two whole counties. There's a little driving involved out there, but it's a real beautiful place. I just like the farmland in northeast Iowa. Has kind of these rolling hills, kind of the driftless region. Very beautiful there. Great people. A lot of people from agricultural backgrounds, but just all sorts of things as well. Just a lot of space out there to breathe. A lot of beautiful churches. A lot of history in the Archdiocese of Dubuque. I think the Archdiocese of Dubuque is a little older, 2 years older than Chicago too. Grew out of St. Louis, and just beautiful right there in the Mississippi. Really grateful to be headed back there to get to serve. It's been a joy to be here as well, but kind of have that longing that's been growing to return to my people in the diocese. I felt that a little bit going back home for Holy Week. But really good just to plant down and be there, and just be with the good people of Iowa and a lot of the priests in our presbyterate that have been ordained recently. Just kind of had the revelation the other day. It's like, man, I'm going to be a priest with those guys forever. So that's just a real joyful thing too. So really looking forward to being back where I know a lot of people, got a lot of family. I'm just excited to get out there and be with the good people of Iowa.
Yeah, definitely. What are you looking forward to about ordination?
Yeah, I think it's just a real beautiful time. And it's just, the ordination right itself is just so beautiful. And just to really hand myself in prayer over at that moment. We had a very sort of muted diaconal ordination last year with 10 people, which was kind of beautiful in its own way. But we're just grateful to have a little more opportunity this year to bring people in for this time, the priests and the family and the friends for the celebration, and then preparing for that first Mass, the Mass of Thanksgiving back in my home parish as well. Just a lot of joy there. Felt it, especially being back home for Holy Week. People are really excited, and just want that to be kind of a sort of evangelical opportunity to really charge people up, to really reach out, but just able to share in the joy as well. So there's a lot of gratitude coming through in all this time as well.
Yeah. Do you know what your first assignment will be yet?
Yep. So they just got announced yesterday, so it was good timing. I'll be going back to the parish I was at for my Deacon summers last summer, St. Francis of Assisi in Marshalltown. So big opportunity to, I mean, I think it's the biggest parish in the diocese. It got 2 parishes combined a few years ago. So as the pastor says, newest, biggest, best in the diocese. But a large Hispanic population is in there as well. So need to get cracking on a little Spanish practice here. So está bien. But it's looking forward to that. It's just going to be a lot, and really just jump into the sacraments, really dive into all of that, and just to learn from the people. We just had a very joyful time last summer. A lot of good people there, and just to really learn from good priestly examples, the pastor and the retired priest that lives there, and other priests in the area. Just really ready to soak it in and just get out there. So
yeah. Well, that's great that you'll be able to build on the relationships you started forming during your diaconate summer too.
Yeah, that'll be real good.
Awesome. Do you have any shout outs you wanted to make to anyone as you wrap up your time here?
Oh man, I didn't even think about this. So, well, a shout out to Mom and Grandma, who probably will watch this at some point. So thanks for all your prayers and support. So shout out to Andy Matajevic too. So just because that'd be fun.
Excellent. All right. And then lastly, how can everyone listening pray for you as you head into your ordination here and begin your priestly ministry?
Yeah. Well, first off, just thank you for your prayers and support over the years already. Just meeting people in person and just knowing of people's prayers always has been a real blessing. Just for particular prayer intention, just praying for a priestly heart for me and for all of my classmates, and that we can be committed men of prayer, committed to personal prayer, even in the midst of all the busyness of ministry, just to stay anchored in our relationship with the Lord. And just if you could entrust all of that to the Blessed Virgin Mary. Got my, I'll put up here, icon of Mary here. So the one thing in the frame, but just really growing a devotion to Mary over the time in seminary. And she really just wants to take care of us, the mother of priests. So if you could just ask her to watch over us and wrap us in her mantle, that'd be great as well. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for your time and for your vocation, Deacon Kyle. And we'll keep you in prayer as you finish up your classes and get ready to head back to Dubuque.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. It's been a lot of fun. So I'm glad we got all this chance to work together over these couple of years here too. So thank you.
Yeah, likewise. All right, great. God bless.
All right, peace.